outnumbered overtime. OT, baby! We got kind of into it. I mean, is your social media lighting up? I'm kind of seeing it on the live chat. It's
the staying in the young people who love Bernie Sanders staying in their dorm rooms, getting, smoking a little bit of something. I was like, why can't anything be said in jest anymore? Do people really think that that all of the young supporters of Bernie Sanders are going to stay in their college rooms?
So were people disagreeing with you because you say that, or were they agreeing with you, or were they saying you're right? What were they
just saying?
Maybe they're smoking a little something and then tweeting you.
Yeah, just saying that I'm, ridiculous, which is true, but ridiculous for other reasons.
Not for reasons that they know.
And by the way, I saw a little bit of social media. People are concerned for you, Julie, that you might not be invited to Democrat parties anymore. Because you had your head in your hands about how the administration is responding about the Hillary Clinton email.
We've talked about this before. All I date are Republicans, so I haven't been invited to.
Right?
Yeah, I haven't been invited to Democratic
We're
parties
better.
in a long time.
Oh,
But not because you can't find a liberal, and you said in a liberal city,
How
all
crazy
you have
is
is
that? In a
Republican
city
men.
of 8.5 million people, all of them liberal, I only find the Republicans to date.
Just randomly on the live chat right now, we have a lot of people on it, so thank you guys for watching. Kev Dubuque says, Harris, can you please ask Dagen who her NASCAR driver is?
Tony Stewart, number 14.
Okay,
his final year. This is his last year racing Sprint Cup, but he currently has a broken back. So we're waiting for him to return to the car. He hasn't been in one race so far this year.
Wow.
Would you like me to tell you how he broke his back?
Yeah.
Please.
A dune buggy accident out in California.
Wow.
A burst fracture of one of his vertebrae in the back.
Oof.
How'd you get into racing?
I grew up in South Central Virginia, near Martinsville. Martinsville is my home track. The paperclip, half-mile. Great track.
Have you ever driven
Look at you.
I have. I drove at Pocono. I drove one of the cars at Pocono, and I've been in the pace car at a couple of tracks, including the Daytona International Speedway.
You know how
secrets revealed.
Men are from
It's
Mars,
pretty
women
cool.
are from Venus. This is like Julie's from New York, Dagen's from the South, because I have no idea.
I can make anybody a NASCAR fan. It only takes one race. It only takes one race, baby.
I've been to one.
Good luck.
I've been so focused on this presidential race that this year I've kind of fallen by the wayside. But when I met Danica Patrick, she knew that I knew my second daughter, Danica.
She has the firmest handshake of any person, male or female, I've ever met in my entire life.
She's a
God bless her.
strong woman. Definitely.
She's my yoga inspiration, too.
I predicted.
Is she really?
Yeah, she's
good at
amazing.
yoga, so I'm I'm just checking to see what poses she does, because I'm a yogi, too, and I like to look and see. And I want to go to a race with you, though, Dagen.
I predicted that she would win the pole at Daytona in her first full year of racing in the top-tier NASCAR series, and I was right, and she sent me an autographed piece of asphalt from Daytona.
Cool.
I've got it in my office.
That's really cool.
I have a Tony Stewart fire suit in my office. I have a signed U.S. Army jersey from the whole team.
I've seen Talladega Nights. Does that count?
All right.
It actually does.
I haven't even done that.
Have you
It's actually really good.
gone to Disney World and done their track?
No.
Go. Seriously. And do the top tier one? Wow. And put on that fire suit before you do it.
You take me the next time you go.
Let's go.
Okay.
Let's
Taking, I'll lend you my kids, so you're not going to be that creepy adults.
Right, I leave the kids with Tony and then go drive.
I'm going to lend you my kids. You're not that creepy adult.
Julie, you will be surrounded by Republican men even more if you go to a race.
I know. This is like, you know what? I don't even need to go to a race, because apparently in New York City, I tend to find the 5 Republicans and I date them. It's the worst.
All right. Wolf Scratch writes on the live chat, Donald Trump picked up 12 more delegates from Missouri's final vote tally. People are talking about this whole situation and whether it really is fair game for him to say that the whole system is rigged. And we said on TV that it resonates with voters.
The whole system is not rigged. And it resonates with his voters, and it's useful to him because he can come out and complain and lob rhetorical bombs, and we all talk about it rather than focusing on the actual nuts and bolts failures of his campaign. And I notice when he uses these words like corruption and fraud, it always comes after significant public humiliating losses for him. We saw it first in Iowa, where he claimed ludicrously that Ted Cruz had stolen the election. He demanded a do-over election. Of course, he didn't get one. He moved on to his next distraction. Then Wisconsin, he accused Ted Cruz of a federal crime on the night that Ted Cruz beat him by double digits in Wisconsin. And now, once again, poisoning the well when he gets,
All right, well, let's
rings
not
run around.
play like there haven't been some other instances of problems. For for, particularly Ted Cruz and the whole Ben Carson thing in Iowa, and whether or not Ben was dropping out and that campaign person had to be admonished.
I think there is a difference between rumors and questionable tactics and what you could call dirty tricks and electoral fraud.
I don't think Ben Carson considered it a rumor.
No, clearly not. I did not defend Ted Cruz on that whole thing. But that does not constitute electoral fraud either.
So Andrea, notwithstanding Colorado, because that's where voters don't really get a say, and you yourself have said, well, that's not right.
Right.
But the rigged terminology that Donald Trump is using is not just resonating because it's interesting to talk about. People feel that way.
They do. They feel like his supporters, anyway, feel like that the establishment is working against him. And if you look at the numbers, I mean, the ad dollars spent against Donald Trump, it reflects that. But Guy brings up a very good point. It's a very shrewd PR tactic after a loss to say, look at the monkey, look over here, look at the rabbit, look over here.
Fraud,
corruption. And we know that Donald Trump is brilliant when it comes to really driving the message and changing the news cycle, and he's very, very good at that. And that's what we're talking about here. But they're both right. I mean, I think that it's not just, Ted Cruz is wrong and Donald Cruz is right, or Donald, Steve, look at this. We've created a candidate. Donald Cruz. And Donald Trump is wrong, and Donald Trump is right, and Ted Cruz is wrong. I don't think it's that simple. And I know that people on Twitter want to paint it that way. It's not. I think both men have had points in this campaign. I think that there's been funny business we've seen in Iowa with Ben Carson. So the arguments aren't coming from both sides. They're not mutually exclusive.
And it's not just Republicans.
No, at the state level, though, it depends on the state and depends on the rules. But people do feel like their party and the power structure, they've been hijacked. That they don't have, I mean, I think a lot of people in Colorado legitimately go, this is how the party works. Like, they might might be interested. Now, it's up to them. Again, personal responsibility is something that I certainly
Trump's whole thing is, all I do is win, no matter what. I'm surrounded by the best people. I'm hyper-competent. Everyone else is stupid. And then when he turns around having lost and gotten swept in Colorado, him say, oh, my gosh, we thought we were going to have an election here. No, you knew what the rules were. You've known for months. If you have a problem with it on principle, I respect that. Say it at the time and then adapt and compete to win. And he did not do those things.
Have a glass of Trump lemonade because he just made it for you.
But the problem for him, and this goes back to, again, having an interest. I know you'll back me up on this. You have to have good people around you when you're on a campaign. His campaign manager, for a variety of reasons, shouldn't be there, but specifically because of things like this, because he has done a massive disservice to his candidate, which is either he himself does not know the rules, and he has basically prevented anybody who does know the rules until Paul Manafort showed up from being involved. And so as a result, Trump is being told what he wants to hear as opposed to what he needs to hear.
There are two things going on, though. He hasn't been spending the money. He's really got to step up and spend some money. And two, I think listening is a problem for him. That even if he has the best people around him, that listening has been an issue.
The establishment people know the rules. They know the party infrastructure people that Trump isn't a part of. They tend to know the rules. So I think he's been apprehensive for a lot of reasons to bring him on. One, because he doesn't listen. He likes to make his own decisions. And you kind of can't do that in a campaign when there's so many areas of expertise that you're not savvy with. But I do understand why he doesn't bring in all these establishment people, because he's not the establishment candidate. But they are sometimes the ones that know how to rule.
The irony in Colorado is the rules in Colorado, and the reason that Colorado changed their whole system to not involve really a popular vote at all was to help establishment candidates and to hurt people precisely like Ted Cruz. And then because all the establishment candidates have flamed out and Cruz is one of the last men standing, he said, okay, the party bosses in Colorado had in mind to screw me over. That sucks. But I'm an adult. I have a job to do here, so I'm going to figure out what it takes to win. And actually, Rush Limbaugh made the point yesterday, and he was right about this. Ted Cruz is not cheating. Ted Cruz is winning. Being outworked does not mean that you are having something stolen from you. And that's what Trump is trying to conflate.
And I just quote Krauthammer. Charles Krauthammer said, didn't Trump benefit from getting 46% of the vote in Florida, but 100% of the delegates? That looks flawed as well.
Right.
Okay, so I asked on the live chat,
but it's the rules.
Do you think the delegate system in the GOP is fair? So I'm getting a lot of response. I'll read some of the first. Jent Sedlin says, I'd have to understand it first. The reason this kind of stuck out to me out of all those responses so far to that question is because a lot of people haven't even tuned into this race yet. I mean, these people who are being polled are kind of like political junkies in a way, with the exception of some of those who went out in their states for the very first time in primaries and caucuses because they felt the enthusiasm and they felt motivated. But most of the time, this time of the year, before an election, Andrea, we don't see this many people involved. So we really don't know how the voting public is going to go because we haven't met them yet.
I would say I've never seen more people fired up about an election cycle, but we've also never seen, I think, a nastier election cycle than this one. I mean, this is just, it's almost impossible
the overall process?
To go on Twitter. I mean, Guy, we were just talking about some of the tweets that you've received, tweets that I've received, tweets that our colleague or former colleague or your colleague at Town Hall, or used to be, I guess, right?
We're colleagues.
Catherine.
We wrote a book together.
I was going to say, that's right. You did write a fantastic book together, have faced online, and you're not alone. And I think, Julie, you'd attest to that.
Oh, this morning, you want to know what I got this morning? That I look like a woman of the night who rolls in it was a criticism of, like, it accused me of being a prostitute and then coming to work and then talked about how awful I looked and my hair. And this was just some random man who, the first line of his Twitter bio, because I'm always curious, was about God and his faith. And he took the time at 7:30 in the morning to basically call me a prostitute and criticize the way I look.
Some woman just tweeted me and told me, why do I have to give my opinion on things? Why can't I just sit on the couch and not say anything?
Wow.
And you always want to go,
and I tweeted back and I said,
women supporting women. Or,
yeah.
It's also your job.
I don't think they're going to pay me if I just sit here and sort of,
it's also
smile.
your job.
Well, one thing campaigns are also doing, they're spending money on social media to use stock accounts to attack you. So don't troll accounts. It's a highly utilized tool in society today. So just ignore them because they're paid and they don't matter.
All right,
I'm sorry I sent you that tweet.
No, I gave him. I was going to tweet him my mother's phone number and be like, I dare you to call Joyce and tell her you said that.
I wonder if that man's employer follows him on Twitter.
Why don't you give his number? Why don't you give his handle out?
Good to have you.
Thank you for having me.
We'll see you back here after the TV version of Us wraps tomorrow.